if we were ranking from 1 to 32, Charean, the teams that are most likely to get to the Super Bowl in 2021, my guess is the team that would come in at 32 would be the Houston Texans. And they've made news again, not for an arrival, but for yet another departure. Team president Jamey Rootes. He's been the president since the inception of the team. Joined the NFL in 2002, the only president in Houston Texans history. He resigned today. This is something that was coming. When the search committee, which he was involved in, was ignored in the quest for a new GM, and owner Cal McNair and executive VP of football operations Jack Easterby went off the board to hire Nick Caserio, my understanding is Rootes wanted out then and there, and he was persuaded to stick around because there is some degree of self-awareness, believe it or not, in the Texans organization regarding the perception of dysfunction that has been lingering over the franchise for the past several months. They didn't want to make it worse by having Rootes storm out, justifiably so, right after they disregarded the project he had spent so much time working on and hired a guy that wasn't one of his finalists. So they got him to wait a little while. It wasn't quite a month, and now Rootes is gone.
I think this organization, Mike, owes a lot to Jamey Rootes and where they've come. Frankly, from a financial standpoint, he's helped build up this organization. Bob McNair, the late Bob McNair, hired him. Lamar Hunt actually was the guy who gave him a recommendation, hired him from a soccer team. He came in and he built this organization to one of the most profitable in sports history. And they're right up there in the top 10 on the Forbes rankings every single year. And Jamey Rootes is a big part of that. And, you know, it's just another turnover in this organization that's gone through so much since Bob McNair died. And you start to look at the people who are still left. There's not a lot of them, Mike. This is an organization that's really been shaken up and going the wrong way. As we've said multiple times now, it is a dysfunctional organization.
As MDS suggested earlier today on Twitter, it's eventually going to be Jack Easterby performing comedy routines for an audience of one in Cal McNair. And look, people continue to ask me, what's your issue with Jack Easterby? I don't know the guy. All I know is he's not qualified to have the job that he holds. And Texans fans should be upset about that. Football fans should be upset about that. There are so many more qualified people than there are jobs at high levels of NFL organizations, whether it's head coach, GM, executive VP of football operations. There are far more qualified candidates than there are spots. The idea that someone who is grossly unqualified would get one of those jobs is offensive to me. It should be offensive to any football fan. It should be offensive to anyone who cares about the NFL collectively because it reflects poorly on a team. And if it reflects poorly on a team, it reflects poorly on the league. And look at where the Texans have gone over the past several months. And the common link is Jack Easterby, the guy who parlayed being an unpaid team chaplain for the Kansas City Chiefs nearly a decade ago into this uncanny climb, fueled by embellishment of his resume, fueled by a Game of Thrones type of intrigue behind the scenes where he knows who to cozy up to and how to potentially work the angles and build leverage and force people out, apparently, based upon the results. I mean, look, of all of the departures in Houston over the past 6 months, he's either a bystander or he's actively involved. I choose to believe that he's actively involved.
No question, Mike. I think he's very actively involved. And frankly, it's not going to surprise me if they name him the next president of the organization. Nothing's going to surprise me with that organization and where they're headed. Nick Caserio and David Culley might be great hires. I don't know that they stand a chance Jack Easterby calling the shots. And it's seemingly that Cal McNair has picked Jack Easterby over Deshaun Watson. That's the way it looks from the outside. From the inside, I don't know, but they're going to have to convince Deshaun Watson to come back if that's what they want. And that may be moving on from Jack Easterby, which he seems like he's won. Mike, you would think that the Texans would have already gotten rid of him based on comments from players and Deshaun Watson, and it hasn't happened. He survived this, and he looks like he's the guy in charge.
2 points. First, if he does become the next president of the team, he's even more insulated from scrutiny. When you have football operations in your title, you're a little too close to the flame if things go to hell. And I didn't mean that as any type of a commentary on, but never mind. If you're the team president, you are, look, Jamey Rootes has been there for 20 years, and for most of the 20 years, let's face it, they've stunk. They've been better in recent years, but when they were horrible from 2002 through 2011, the first year they made it to the postseason, it wasn't like anyone was saying, well, the team president's got to go. That's a great job to have. That's even better than executive VP of football operations from a lack of accountability standpoint. Then, when things go well, you can position yourself for some praise and some glory and some adulation. And when things go poorly, it's not on me. It's on the people in football operations, and I'm not in football operations. So that would be a smart move for Easterby. Secondly, I'm still not ready to conclude that the Texans will do what is best for them when it comes to Deshaun Watson. And I could see them being stubborn enough, like Mike Brown was 10 years ago with Carson Palmer, to say, you don't want to play for us? Fine. Sit. And you can sit. And you can pay us back $5.4 million per year in signing bonus money. And you can pay us hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines. Because, Charean, we can't have the inmates running the prison.
It's February 10th, Mike, and I'll go on record as saying right now that that's what's going to transpire. I would push all my money into the middle of the table. Having talked to people inside the organization, they are convinced they can talk Deshaun Watson into coming back, even though they haven't talked. I just don't think it's going to happen. And I think they're going to wait too long to try to trade him, to realize that he's really not coming back. They better plan on having another quarterback option out there. They're convinced they can talk him into coming back. If it doesn't happen, and I don't think it's going to happen, I think the bridge has been burned down. They better have another quarterback option for this season.
And, Charean, here's what Deshaun Watson needs to do, and this dovetails with the item I posted just before the show began, because I think as time passes, we will look back on Russell Wilson's interview with Dan Patrick from yesterday as the moment when the evolution of the NFL toward the NBA became a revolution, and quarterbacks are shedding this company man facade and speaking and thinking and acting in their own interests. Consequences, criticism, scrutiny be damned. Deshaun Watson needs to sit down with someone and speak his mind and say what he wants. Because even though we all know what he wants, he's not going to get what he wants if he doesn't start putting more pressure on the team. The kind of pressure that Russell Wilson is already putting on the Seattle Seahawks.
He did it on the final day of the season, Mike. He said what he wanted, and the Texans didn't adhere to that. But now he needs to speak out again, because obviously things have changed, because he didn't get what he wanted, and having a voice in the GM and the head coach, that didn't happen. So now he needs to speak out again, not speak through his agent, not have his agent speak to other people about what he wants. He needs to talk and say exactly what he wants, and sits down with the Texans and tell them what he wants himself, not coming from the agent.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.